Hello everyone! Today I want to share more than just news. I want to talk about a situation that, although wrapped in rumors and silence, reveals much more than it seems. It all began during a gathering among friends, in a relaxed atmosphere that suddenly shifted when someone mentioned a name that seemed long buried, Demet. Can, without raising his voice, replied with a phrase that left everyone speechless. Demet was someone very special. It wasn't a reproach, nor a confession, but it was enough to cause a heavy silence. Sarah, his current partner, couldn't hide her discomfort. "Are you still living in the past?" she asked coldly. That night, she went to bed earlier than anyone, without a word or gesture of affection. Once home, she deleted several photos shared with Can. The message was clear. But what really escalated the situation was the reaction of Can's mother. Gulden, always sincere and direct, defended the memory. What was important still is, a phrase that, although said without anger, hurt more than any shout. Feeling more and more excluded, Sarah locked herself in her studio. She posted a story with a dark image and a single word: silence. Her followers understood that something was going on. Can tried to approach her, but the damage was already done. "It doesn't hurt that you remember her. It hurts that you still call her special," Sarah said. And from that moment on, the space between them grew. He, increasingly distant, was seen leaving restaurants alone, his expression empty. The press started to talk about a crisis. Had something broken between them, or had it never truly healed? Tension grew when Can and Demet met at a charity event. They greeted each other politely, but the image of that moment went viral. Sarah cancelled her appearance that night. She didn't want to face the questions or her own doubts. Meanwhile, Gulden commented on the photo with a phrase that echoed, "Elegance is never forgotten." From that point, Sarah seemed different, quieter, more distant. When asked about her relationship, she simply said, "We're navigating turbulent waters." It was the first time she publicly admitted that something was wrong. Can, trying to stop the rumors, posted a photo hugging her, with the caption, "We're still us." But it was too late. Sarah didn't react. Not a like, just silence. Social media became flooded with memories of Can and Demet's story. Scenes from their series, quotes from past interviews. The past clung tightly. And then Sarah exploded. "I can't live in the shadow of a story that's not mine," she said in private. But those words leaked and ended up on the covers of several magazines. Can, reading them, understood her pain. But he also knew he couldn't deny what once was. That internal struggle showed in his demeanor, in his silence. One night, after a heated argument, Sarah packed her bag. She didn't say she was leaving, but she stopped sharing a room with him. Can didn't stop her. He just watched the door close. Gulden used that moment to speak to her son. "You deserve someone who understands your story, not someone who forbids you to live it," she told him. And those words, like so many others, cut deep. Sarah took refuge in her music. She wrote a song titled "Ghost." The lyrics spoke of a love caught between two worlds. The song went viral, and the public took sides. Some supported Sarah's strength. Others relived the nostalgic connection between Can and Demet. Social networks became an emotional battlefield. Can stopped attending public events. When he did, he went alone. "I'm focused on my work," he'd say. But everyone knew his heart was elsewhere. Demet, on her part, posted a phrase that left many thinking. "Some things are remembered for love, others are let go for pride." Sarah didn't respond, but she deleted more photos from her profile. It was her way of drawing the line. Can was at a crossroads. He loved Sarah, but a part of him was still tied to what he had lived with Demet. And in the middle of it all, family pressure, public judgment, constant scrutiny. Days passed. Time soothed, but didn't heal. The relationship with Sarah didn't end, but it wasn't the same, and the ghost of the past kept sitting at their table. Demet Özdemir is one of those women who spark divided opinions, but one thing is undeniable. Her story left a mark. Many remember her for her role alongside Yaman, for that intense chemistry that seemed to leap off the screen and made millions dream for a while. But behind the character, behind the idol, is a real woman who made difficult choices, who made mistakes, who took risks, and who chose to move forward even when the whole world seems stuck in the past. What impresses me most about Demet isn't her beauty or her talent, although she has plenty of both, but her ability to rebuild herself. Because while many accused her of betraying a perfect love, of distancing herself from Ken, or taking wrong paths, she simply chose to live life her way. And that, in the world of fame and under constant public gaze, is an act of courage. Yes, she got married. Yes, the marriage ended. And yes, many believe it was a mistake, done impulsively, searching for something only Ken had given her. But I don't see it that way. I see a woman who, like any other, was seeking stability, affection, a place to be herself. And when she realized that path wasn't hers, she had the courage to close the door. That's not weakness, that's maturity. Many keep dragging her name into comparisons with the women now around Khan. Sarah is this, none compared to her. He's still thinking about Demet. But what about her? Has anyone stopped to think how she's lived all this? How it feels to keep walking forward when every step is compared to a relationship that's long over? What isn't said enough is that Demet, at one point, was Khan's emotional refuge. She pulled him from his darkness, gave him balance and meaning. But that doesn't mean her identity is tied to him. She has dreams, ambitions, scars, and a path to walk. Staying stuck in that past, however romantic it was, would have meant denying herself. Sometimes I feel people forget that Demet is a woman like any other, with a life beyond the cameras. A woman who has been criticized for choosing differently, for not waiting around for a man who wasn't fighting for her anymore. Because let's be honest, if Ken had loved her as much as people claim, the story would have been different. And she had no reason to put her life on hold for a story he left unfinished. It pains me to see so many reduce her worth to a past relationship, as if everything she's done since doesn't matter, as if her personal growth, her career, her choices are less valuable than a romance that ended. But to me, Demet has proven she doesn't need to live in anyone's shadow. She can make mistakes, yes, but she can rise and shine with her own light. She's not perfect. Sometimes she's distant. Sometimes she's silent when people expect her to speak. But that's part of her strength too. She's learned she doesn't have to explain every step. She owes no one an explanation. And her peace is worth more than approval from people who only know part of the story. Today, I see her more at peace, more centered. She no longer seeks unnecessary attention, nor lives by what others say. And while I know that her time with Khan will always be part of her story, I also know it doesn't define her. Because Demet Özdemir is not just Khan Yaman's ex. She's a complete woman, with scars, dreams, and a voice of her own that, whether we like it or not, she has chosen to use for herself, not to feed someone else's fantasy.